Where do I get the chat side?
Okay, so that
That's
should
probably
be
a chat tool here. Yeah. Green share chat. Here, do I just try and see? Getting nowhere there. Frustrated. It was going real well until it blew up. It was perfect. So somehow I'm not getting them. I can try to hook up with a different address.
I don't see that that's necessary. He's connected at all. I think you should just try and chat.
I did.
Arnav. No, this is the group chat. That's not chatting Arnav.
So how do I do that?
Let's see. If you do a plus right there.
Yes. Yes. Somehow, how do I do that? That says group. Do I get this changed somehow? List available commands.
Well, you can type a question mark down here. When dear. Oh. To list on. Enter. Oh, backs. Oh, slash question mark. Looks like slash question mark is what you want to type. There you go. Oh, now we're hearing something.
Oh, there we have them. Okay. Finally. I don't know what was going on. Okay, we're back.
Okay.
So let's start from scratch, but hopefully we don't need any rehearsal. So it gives me great pleasure to have a conversation today with Professor Arnav Jhala of the Department of Computer Science here at UCSC. Arnav, could you give the people out there a bit of background on you?
Yeah, thanks, Ira. Thanks for inviting me. So I'm really excited to get a chance to talk to this class. It's the largest class that I've lectured to at this point officially. So thank you, Ira, for giving me that opportunity. My name is Arnav Jhala. I'm an assistant professor at UCSC, and my background is a bit interesting. I'm in computer science, but I also teach game design. However, my undergraduate education was in computer engineering in India from Gujarat University. Some of the people from India would know. I then came to North Carolina State University to study networking because I had previously worked at the Indian Space Research Organization writing low-level networking code for the Linux kernel. When I came to North Carolina, I took a game programming class, and it was so exciting that I decided to work more in the area of game design and development. And so I approached my professor, and he ended up becoming my PhD advisor. So I finished my PhD in AI applied to game design, and now I'm here at UCSC teaching in computer science, various classes related to computer graphics, AI, and game design.
Well, that's great. Now, the course is focusing on C++. It's one that's adapted from a course that many of your students take before they start doing a game design project. And I'm wondering, from your perspective, how do you use C++ in your own work? And what do you feel the game design students need to take away in learning C++?
In my own work, I've used C++ extensively. One of the two classes that I regularly teach is the game engine programming class, and game engine programming is done by students with C++ using OpenGL libraries. And in my research, I've programmed in C++ as well. And mainly because graphical applications are still heavily written in C++ due to issues like code efficiency and runtime, especially for real-time applications. This is important. Some of the interesting things that a C++ programmer needs to know in order to write really good engine code is to have efficient algorithms that operate on data structures like large trees, because scene graphs are represented as large tree-like structures that are then for various computations like visibility and occlusion detection and shadow mapping and so on need extremely fast tree traversal algorithms. So so that's one aspect. Because of the real-time nature of games, graphics need to run and be rendered in real time, which means that a lot of the memory that is needed to, for example, store all the textures that are associated with 3D models, all the vertices for your 3D models and so on, all this data is being moved very fast across the disk to the RAM to the graphics card. And so this requires a lot of memory management and efficient coding abilities. C++ still remains largely the language of choice for game programmers because of this efficiency issues, as well as easy portability over lots of different hardware types. So with consoles like the Xbox and Wii and PlayStation 3, they all have different underlying hardware architectures and so on. So with C++, it makes it much easier to port games on multiple platforms.
In any of these real-time applications, do you find students using threading? C++11 has now introduced a much more standard, it's finally adopted into the standard, a threading model that's supposed to work across platforms. Is that a particular use?
Threading is very important for any game application that's running in real time, because there are so many, for some of the complex games, there are so many different AI modules and agents that are running in the background. There is the rendering system, there is the user interface system, there's the heads-up display system, which is rendering a heads-up display in front of the player. There's also all the input that's coming from player, possibly in newer consoles from like full body gestures like a Kinect. So in order to respond to all these systems and have them running in real time, what's important to know is that in a game, on a game engine, there's an underlying simulation engine that runs and constantly updates the 3D or the 2D world that you're playing in, which means that all the physics and all of the processing that is carried out by your enemies or other agents, or in a multiplayer game, multiple players, has to be done simultaneously. So it requires a lot of efficient multi-threaded code in order to get it to run.
Oh, great. I want to take advantage of your personal background, because I know in previous conversations with Jim Whitehead, who is our department chair and also very involved in your gaming program, and our chancellor, they both had strongly invited applicants, and the biggest pool on my class are actually the Indian students. And I wonder, from your own experience, what you would recommend to them, and how it feels to be at Santa Cruz, or essentially Silicon Valley South. Do you have some advice for them?
Sure. So For me, coming from India, it was an interesting trajectory because when I started out, uh, I had originally applied to many of the Northern California schools around the Silicon Valley because that's where I wanted to be. Um, However, I ended up being in North Carolina because Red Hat has had its headquarters on campus over there, and that was exciting. But after finishing my PhD, I realized that there were a lot more opportunities in this area, so decided to move. And it has been great because even though I'm doing game design, some of my work applies to general AI in terms of efficient algorithms for personalization and machine learning related to personalization in games, and using game analytics and machine learning for improving feedback to game designers on player behavior. And so this has been, in general, a big interest of the industry these days because of social networking applications like Facebook and Google Plus and so on, and a lot of analytics that is going on in terms of data that is collected on pretty much anything that you do, all the way from using your phone to just browsing web pages. Everything is being recorded, and everything, and all the companies are trying to sort of figure out how to personalize your experiences to improve the experience and, well, partly also to improve the revenues. But this leads to really interesting questions about how do you measure engagement? Well, when does a game become engaging in terms of incentive structures that you devise? All this you can learn if you have data and if you have algorithms that you could use to analyze that data. And so I've been talking to so many companies in this area. Pretty much anytime I go drive about 30 minutes to lunch somewhere, then I'm talking to somebody from Google or somebody from Microsoft, or some of the startups that we don't yet know about but might be big in the next 5 years, things like Twitter and so on. So there's a lot of energy in this area around the culture of entrepreneurship and coming up with technologies that actually appeal to people and improve their sort of standard of living. There's a lot of work going on around energy, which also connects back to some of the technologies that computer scientists work on. So there are many opportunities in this area that I really am lucky to be at UCSC because I then get to have these close interactions with industry. So it influences my work, and it makes it's great for my students because they get a chance to do internships at some of these companies. Several of my students have gone on to startups, to large companies like Microsoft and Blizzard and Valve and so on. So this area is very hard to beat in terms of opportunities and just the general intellectual energy as a place to study.
Well, Arnav, that's great. This conversation, I think, is going to be very, very helpful to lots of people out there. It really ties together some of what we're teaching in the course, like algorithms that, in fact, deal with graphs and trees, and we're using them ourselves to do AI for a game design, and I think you've given it a much bigger context, and just thank you very much for this conversation.
Thank you, Ira, and good luck all the students for this class. Bye.
Bye. Okay, that was great. I'm going to cut the end off. I think this was fine. I will send you a link when it's rendered, hopefully sometime this afternoon, and you can either take a look at it and say okay, or and otherwise it'll get posted in a day or two, because we post most of our stuff towards Friday in the conversations box. So this was just just what we needed. And who knows who's going to contact you now?
Okay, I should get ready to have my inbox filled with like thousands of.
Probably. I don't know. I
Well,
think they've actually been very good. The Coursera people make a big deal about not trying to contact either the instructors or staff or people like you. So I think in most instances, uh, that people abide by that. So that's not been as much of a problem as I was thinking. There's very, very little traffic that way.
yeah,
Great.
so it seemed like there were a couple of places where there was a slight hiccup in the Google Hangout thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how that'll come out in the video, but we could re-record that part if it's.
I think it's going to be too hard. I mean, at least from what I have discovered, and I occasionally in some of the previous ones, all of a sudden the picture dies. I became a blank in a couple of them.
Mhm.
The value of them, some of them are. I think there's value in making them seem like they're, impromptu, not, well produced. Maybe at some point, if I run this course again, I'll learn how to do something much smoother. There's probably some technology that lets you get back in there and maybe even edit the whole thing, but that just won't work with the tool set I know. I just can
Right.
clip the beginning and I'll clip the end here, and we'll
That
just.
should be fine. So
I think
yeah,
it'll be fine for what it is.
I tried to bring as much of the class content into it as possible. So
Yeah, no, you were great. I think it's exactly the. I mean, the only thing if I do this again, uh, all these conversations need to be closer to the front of the class because of the high rate of fall off.
oh, I see.
But I think what we're going to be able to do is keep them posted, and there's a big mailing list, and it may even be that the group that wants to either retake it or look it over again will be visiting the site even past the next couple of weeks when the course finally ends. I think
Right.
there will be a lifetime, and plus I will have these on my own YouTube account under the School of Engineering account. So there are people already subscribing to those, and
Right.
that'll be left up.
Yeah.
But,
What has your fall off been this time around?
oh, it's very, very significant. I don't think it's anything unusual. There are close to 54,000, quote, registered students. There's something like, and I'm pulling numbers off the top of my head, something like 30,000 plus that actually engage in any of the material.
Mm-hmm.
And then week by week, that gets cut in half. So, but it's a fairly difficult course because it's not a beginner's course, and the homework gets a lot harder, and so the engagement by people who want to actually get a certificate starts falling off.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I'm reading the statistics right, I think that at the moment there's slightly under 10,000 unique visitors in the past week.
Okay.
So, from 53,000, whatever, and clearly most people don't have a full engagement because they don't, it's a full-scale real course, and
Yeah, just don't have the. I mean, that's basically where I think. That's where I think just the brick and mortar thing works much better, right?
absolutely. And I don't
Our
know,
worst
I don't know if you
retention.
saw, but the Udacity people who are competitors, the Coursera people,
Mhm.
are now putting out a document saying MOOCs don't work because of the lack of engagement. so that they're not as effective as they originally thought they could be. And Udacity is moving away from the MOOC model.
Oh,
So,
so then what was the point of? They could have just stayed at Stanford.
well, I think it's just Sebastian Thum. He has a different business model than Coursera. So I think what he's saying is the way it's worked out has not been cost effective in his business model, which is actually quite different than the Coursera business model. Because Coursera gets its content produced by universities, Udacity produces its own content. Because Udacity has to get a higher return per course than Coursera, which gets a combination of things and very low production costs. So, this is Sebastian probably saying why he's going to change his model. Because he also got a lot of egg on his face when he worked with San Jose. I don't know if you read the articles about San Jose State and Udacity, but he had provided some courses to San Jose State, and they were San Jose State, after using them, felt they weren't effective, so that they went back to the normal classroom. So anyway.
Was this the article where UCSC was also mentioned?
See what mentioned?
UCSC was also mentioned.
I didn't see that. Was there an article with us mentioned? I didn't see that.
I don't have it immediately on here, but yeah, I should look that up. Be interesting to see.
Yeah, well, send me the link. Okay, I'm going to get off because the Hangouts get harder to render if we keep running on them.
Okay.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks, man. Let me know if it doesn't work and we can do it again.
Okay, all right.